Let's now bring in political analyst Michael Gagan, joins us from Williams Lake, British Columbia. Michael, good evening and thank you for joining us on CTV News Channel. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So, Michael, the opposition, as we know, is pushing for the Prime Minister to appear in front of the committee and also asking for a parallel probe. What are the chances you think any of this may happen?
Well, it's a bit of a conundrum for the Liberal government because so far they've had their Liberal MPs on the Ethics Committee filibustering in order to thwart those very objectives. But of course, the more the Liberals dig in, the more it looks like to Canadian voters that they're guilty of a cover-up. So they're going to have to weigh very carefully how much they serve as an opposition to further scrutiny, given that the overwhelming consensus is that there was a complete lack of just the basic procedures in terms of the way they handled this whole WE funding, and of course it blew up into a major scandal.
Michael, in your view, we know this is getting a little embarrassing for the government, but how much is it really hurting the Prime Minister and the government, and how do you think they will be able to come out of this controversy?
Well, I mean, first of all, in the last government, the SNC-Lavalin scandal probably cost the Trudeau Liberals a majority in terms of the last federal election. So here we have another example where people didn't recuse themselves. There's a conflict of interest, and so I think what it'll do is it'll serve to dampen the support that they otherwise would be enjoying right now, because of the handling of the COVID-19 and other measures that they've done that Canadians applaud. So in this particular case, they've shot themselves in the foot, and that's going to be good news for the opposition parties going into the next election.
Okay, but what about the WE charity here, Michael? Observers are beginning to say that this contract being awarded to WE for disbursement of funds worth $912 million was the biggest ever in Canada's history. And then there was this reshuffle within WE as well, just before this contract was awarded and the pandemic hit. Do you think we need to look into what's happening in WE organization as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We need to find out why was this charity, scheduled to be the recipient, as you stated, of the largest government donation in Canadian history? And yeah, I think at this point we need to know more, both in terms of the conduct of certain key government officials, what's been going on with the WE charity. All of these things need to be fully investigated.
And like we said, in a minority government now, and this time the opposition is more powerful even on several of these committees, how vulnerable do you think the government really is, Michael? I mean, can there be a possibility, if the Prime Minister were to be held guilty yet again by the Ethics Commission, that the opposition will ask for elections?
I don't think that's likely in the middle of a pandemic, and the Conservatives are in the midst of a leadership race. So I don't think that we're going to see a federal election anytime soon, but certainly it's going to be a thing where there's blood in the water, and Conservative and NDP and other opposition parties, they'll certainly be watching very closely to see how well or if the Liberals recover from this self-inflicted misstep and judge accordingly. So I think it's going to come more into play next year when hopefully COVID-19 is less of an issue.
Hopefully less of an issue. All right, we'll leave it at that for a moment. From Williams Lake, British Columbia, political analyst Michael Gagan, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
In other news, we are